Hi, I'm Ann Roman, and we're here at Live From Your Heart on YouTube. And I'm with Tia Mignon today, and we've got so much to talk about. As you know, I'm known in a lot of circles as a psychic medium, have been for many years. And I am the creator and of Groovy Mystics that Tia has helped me for many years work on. And whenever we get together, we have such great conversations we think that you should be a part of. So, Tia, would you like to say a little bit about you?
I don't always know what to say about myself, my dear Anne, but I do know that our tete-a-tetes are quite fabulous. We're going to turn our tete-a-tete into a Tata Tuesday. How about that? Should we
Tata
be
Tuesday.
talking
Yeah.
about the Tatas so that everybody here can get to know what they can do, what this journey is about, and how far you can go with a psychic and some Tatas?
Between the two of us, those Tatas, I'm telling you. So I don't know if I've ever shared this publicly, but 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I was fortunate enough because of somebody else's misfortune, I made sure that I had a mammogram. And it was just on a fly, an absolute fly that I had the mammogram. I didn't think I was due to have one for another few months. And unfortunately, it came back that I had a cancer.
And how did that change your environment?
Well, I had a squamous cell cancer on my face. I had it
Mhm.
for a few years. And I thought, it started to change and I got it taken off. I've never given that another thought. But having breast cancer, it's like I'm the fifth one in the family to get it. I do not have the BRCA gene, which is really, really good. But everybody that I meet since my diagnosis, since I had surgery, which I was very fortunate, only had a lumpectomy and had some lymph nodes removed that came back negative. Every woman I meet, I say, get your mammogram because I never had one until I was 65.
Oh my goodness.
And it came back negative. Everything was fine. So it's changed me from that respect that I've been very proactive about getting your mammograms and understanding different treatments and understandings of what other treatments are, and that how some women have certain things that others don't. I didn't have to have chemotherapy, but I had radiation, and that knocked me out. I feel like I'm still recovering from radiation. Like I get really tired, where I've always been like an ever ready better bad bunny, I was always going on and doing all these things. But recently, uh, I had another scare
Yeah.
and it stopped me cold. I was putting stuff up on my YouTube and it stopped me cold. I've been working on writing a book. I couldn't do anything on the writing. I couldn't do any editing. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just felt like,
It's exhausting,
for lack of
right?
a better
And
word,
other viewers out there could be feeling the same thing. And I think
yes,
it's good for them to hear the
yes,
stories from another person, right? And your
yes, I
experience and
agree.
how it helped you move forward. I'm on the
We're in the
beginning of that journey with, my every other year mammogram, been doing it religiously since my 30s and got a bad one, So now I go in for biopsy on Thursday and we'll see what happens. But safety in numbers and enjoying the journey with a lot of women that have come forward that I love and appreciate. And sometimes you just don't know who's going to be there until they're there. So if
Oh,
we can help
absolutely.
anybody in this journey and be that support system for someone who may be less than fortunate with their helpful hands around them, at least know we're
Right.
here, right?
Right. I mean, you can't feel for somebody else what they're going through, but you can support. We don't have the answers for everybody, but as a person who's going through it, I'm still not finished. I'm in treatment. I have to take a pill every day that makes me feel like I'm 90. And other women have told me how hard it is, but I know that if I get to the 5 year on that pill, it will really do a lot to save my life.
That's
And
amazing.
everybody's got a story. Get on the internet. Don't get on the internet and look at anything. That was the first thing a cancer survivor told me, who had, she has the BRCA gene. She had the triple negative. She had all these things. And she said, do not get on the internet. You'll think you're dying.
That's with everything from a hangnail to a toenail. It just
Oh my God.
you can create your story however you want it to be. And
Right.
sadly, when you start digging into some of the information out there, it's a death sentence. And other ways you can get really full of those rose-colored glasses and not really understand what you have to do. So there's definitely a fine line in between it all. And definitely do not research this without your appropriate healthcare people around you.
Doctors, if you question something that a healthcare professional is telling you, then maybe you get a second opinion or you ask other people.
Hmm.
I've got a really good team. I feel so good about my team, and I'm getting through it, and it's something. I don't have the energy that I had, and I'm also older. I have to remind myself, and you're not a young girl anymore. That happens naturally anyway.
Hmm.
But it's like, okay, this is just a little blip in time that I have to do this thing. I just want to add that I went back and I had the following examination after the bad news a few weeks ago, and everything was fine. It's just the way my body's healing and the type of calcification I have. So
Hmm.
I feel very good with that news, but it's in the back of my head.
Of
It's never,
course. And that
never
funny little name, calcification, doesn't really give you much. Is this a tumor?
right, exactly.
And how big or how small? And what does that mean? There's just a lot of ambiguous environments, and we have to listen to our healthcare providers tell us what they think and their opinion. So don't be afraid to get second opinions whenever you can.
Yeah.
I'm a full proponent of that. I think it's
And
very important.
know at the beginning of this journey, it may come back on Thursday that you're fine, but know
Right.
that the
Yeah.
treatments available to you right now
Hmm.
are so amazing. They are so amazing, and they pro-life. I mean, there are people that are not as lucky, or there's other things going on in their body, but the treatments available today are life-saving treatments. And if you stay in that mode,
Hmm.
that you're in a good place, that's where you need to stay, because you need to stay there.
Yeah, I just treat it like it is what it is.
It
I'm
is.
thankful that I had a history of mammograms that the radiologist could look at.
Don't mind
They can
having my
compare, I'm like clean boob, bumpy boob, whatever you want to call it. But, I mean, having that, I've been very fortunate. And at this point, they're catching it very early and catching what I have no idea still. So we'll know more after Thursday, maybe even a week after that, I think. I'm not sure. But I'll be very happy for them not to squeeze my boobs anymore. That'll be great.
oh, that doesn't go away. That
Well,
is
at least I can get a break for a year,
the
No
other
need to
thing.
get manhandled by them.
No, well, you think. Um, I I have a sense of humor wherever I go.
Right? You
And
have to.
yeah, I mean, I've even been tried
Yeah.
to find something funny at a funeral. I mean, I just, not that I share that with anybody, but I just find something to kind of lighten the load, because I am empathic and I do feel emotion around me. But I have said things like, when I had my biopsy, I said, okay, I guess it's tits up.
That's
When it
right.
went,
A good thing you still have them both. Woo!
oh my God, it was 30 years ago, I wouldn't. And
Right.
that's
They just remove
progress.
everything, you
Yeah,
know?
that's the
Yeah.
progress of today.
Right.
Uh, and I said to the doctor the other day, I said, I'm doing really good. I have great tits. I said,
Hey,
even
my
at
tits open a
age,
lot of doors and I don't want
even,
them going anywhere.
even at my age, they weren't ugly. They were still attractive. And I
Mhm.
said, they're a little bit different, but I it's not something that's always been really important to me, but it's like, I didn't smear my makeup when I delivered my babies. I didn't have any anesthetic. I've never had any terrible health problems. I've never had surgery until 2 years ago. I mean, I was like, oh my God, I am so lucky. And then that all changed. But I was like, I have to have a sense of humor, and I'm sorry if you don't like it, but I have to have one. And I said, I'm glad that it's tits out right now instead of tits up.
Yeah.
So I just had to keep that. Uh, that when I
Well, it'll
met with.
be tits down for me on Thursday with that biopsy. So,
Oh,
they
do
leave
you?
you hanging.
You have to lay in the table with the hole.
Yeah.
Oh my God! They told me that was something that if they needed to test this more, that's what I'd have to do.
Yeah.
So the
You know,
surgeon.
it is
This
what
is
it is.
the fun part. The surgeon came in, and my daughter and my sister were with me, and they stepped outside, and I had to have pictures taken. And I said to the doctor, I said, now these aren't going to go on the internet, are
Oh
they?
Lord, no.
I don't want to
Could
find
you
these.
imagine? Talk about Boobiegate, you know?
Well, we're in that now. But she said, oh no, but they will be on your chart for any doctor to see. I said,
Oh,
I'm
lovely.
kidding you. I'm kidding you. I'm standing here against the door with no top on, and you're taking pictures of me. I have to have a sense of humor about that.
Right. Absolutely.
So I kept my sense of humor, but I really feel that and this is, get the support that you need. If you have any indication of anything, I really recommend anybody seeing
Hmm.
a doctor.
And if
Um,
you have a history of it, it is
you,
never too soon. If there's a history in your family, it is never too soon.
no, and my lucky for me, my doctor, she's chief of breast cancer oncology. My aunt, I'm the fifth one in the family. My mother's two sisters. She's in treatment now, and her doctor is my doctor. So my doctor can look at the history of the two of us without, uh, violating her confidence. I mean, I told her who my aunt was.
Sure.
And she was like, "Oh wow!" And so there's, that I think just even helped more.
Hmm.
And I'm so inquisitive about what I want to know and understand. And I really recommend that you do that you ask questions, no matter what they are. Ask the questions. I had to take this pill. The first one lowered my blood pressure so low that I had two syncopates and ended up in the emergency, thinking that, oh my God, can I drive the car? Am I fogging a mirror? I mean, it was so low. And then the next one raised my blood pressure so high I couldn't walk 20 steps without my heart racing, which was
Oh,
just
wow.
awful. But I had no leg aches. I had no nausea. I had the other symptoms I didn't have. But that pill was probably the best for the whole body because it does tend to give you leg aches or bone aches. And then I'm on a new one, and it's affecting stomach stuff. And so I've just started taking it, so I'm going to give it a little
And
bit of
all
time.
these drugs will affect everybody differently. So
Yeah,
always know that it's your journey and your body. But if you need
yeah.
support, reach out. It's here.
So, well, somewhere in my initial consultation with the doctor, I was cavalier about having to take any medicine. And she
Mm.
was emphatic. Please, if there's anything you hear me say, you've got to take the medicine. I said, okay, I'm going to take whatever it takes. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. Don't worry. So anyway, how are you doing with this? Or has it hit you?
I definitely have a different attitude about things. And I don't freak out. It's like if I lost a leg, I'd be looking at it going, okay, well, what do I do next? Not emotional, not a lot of adrenaline, not a lot of anything. So until I find out more information,
Mhm.
what do you do? I'm, not really. I mean, yeah, you go through different thought processes and things, but it's more how annoying is this going to be on my schedule as opposed to, the death-defying environment. And whatever the diagnosis is, we'll just have to move forward with it the best way possible. And I worry more about the people around me, and how they're digesting this information. And, a lot of times people around you may take it worse than you do because you've got a journey to stand on. You've got, the rock to stand on for yourself. Make sure you're healthy and make sure that your attitude is right. And yeah, I've always kind of been a go with the flow kind of person, so it's not really I don't think it's not that it hasn't kicked in or anything. I think it's just my way of dealing with it is okay, is what it is. Here we go. And humor, like you, if we didn't have a show like this, how the hell would we get through a Ta Tuesday or a Boobiegate or a
Ta
whatever it might
Tuesday.
be?
Boobiegate.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
so just to kind of, wrap this up just a little bit, but, we want you to know that you have an option here. These videos will always be live, well, not live, but they'll be on Anne's YouTube. And stay tuned. If you have questions, want to shoot it to Anne via her YouTube channel, please go ahead. And maybe right now we can have a little astrological moment from Anne. Why don't you give us a little what's ahead for the future?
Oh, astrological moment. Well, let's see. Right now is a full moon. It climaxed today, probably around 10 o'clock in the morning, I want to say. And it's in Scorpio. So these last few days leading up to this, Scorpio moons should be easier on me because I'm a Virgo and we kind of get along.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always so harsh. I've had some bad news over the weekend about somebody. But I've just noticed that it's a harsh full moon.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you can't get away with anything. But suffice to say, it's on its way out. So it's going to be void course for a little while, and then it's going to go into Sagittarius, a happier moon. I love Sagittarius.
We need happy.
Sagittarius,
Happy
oh,
is good.
yeah, don't be. I really feel intuitively, because I am a psychic, I feel intuitively that by the end of the month, things are going to be better. We've had some changes. We had Pisces, the sun and Saturn were conjunct in March. Plus, we had those two eclipses. We had a Mercury retrograde. We had Neptune moving. We had all this stuff, and it was like, ugh, this is awful. And
Been
we're
an
still,
astrological upchuck, hasn't
oh,
it?
horrible. So and horrible. I know so many people. I had phone calls from people. What is going on? Can you tell me what's going on? I've never seen. Is it really Mercury retrograde? Is it still like that? Well, Pluto is retro right now. And I think Mars, maybe Mars. Don't hold me on that. I have to look it up. But there are some things right now that are really harsh, and they're moving slowly. And by the end of the month, it's going to feel a lot better. You'll probably notice some sort of relief the end of the month, and I get that intuitively.
Great.
And we'll have, a Gemini new moon at that time. And the sun, because the sun will be in Gemini, and things kind of change as we move further away from those eclipses also. So that I believe we're going to have some good things come up the end of the month, the beginning of June. You'll see some changes in your life,
I
definitely.
like it.
Yeah.
Well, that is a good way to wrap up a lovely
Well, I
moment.
have to say one more thing.
Uh-oh.
Oh, maybe two more things. I'm not a very metaphysical person, and everything I've ever learned is from Rose Marcellus, who teaches intuitive arts. And because I don't, that I've always been a natural psychic or a natural medium, and she's really helped me with a lot of those things. And she teaches. And if you ever want to know more about that, please let me know, and I'll give you her information. But during the time that I went through this brisk thing, the Pope Francis passed away.
Mhm.
And a friend of mine called me up and she said, I'm so sorry that your Pope died. Like he's my brother. But he did look like my Uncle Domingo. I mean, it was like, oh my God. Uh, and and I said, it just blurted out of me, we're going to have an American Pope. I never gave it a thought.
Mhm.
I've always in the past looked at
I
pictures
didn't
of,
even think that was a possibility.
it blurted out of me. And when I do my work, when I do groups, when I do readings on people, um, I always, it just comes out of me. And that came out of me. And a friend of mine said, you should have posted that. People would have been following you for that. And I said, I was in no mood or no place to post anything during that time. But in retrospect, I did write it down. I texted to somebody, and I do have that. So, anyway, just a little something on myself. I predicted.
I like it. Well, we have come to time, that is for sure.
All
So,
right.
like we were saying before, if you have any questions, want to reach into Anne, talk to her about Rose. We're going to do this again. We might have a different topic. We may have the same topic. We don't know. We're just going to see where
And
this goes.
get your mammograms.
Yes, please check the boobies.
Check
All
your
right,
boobies.
everyone. Thank
Talk
you.
about Tuesday. Cheers.